Welcome to another 10-second story. Today it's about Arthur and his memory of his beloved wife. Let's score this moment with romantic strings and in the style of Disney or Pixar. Here is the final result that we will create in today's episode.
Every year as the first snow falls, Arthur remembers her laughter. And though she's gone, her warmth remains, and every day feels like a gift.
The goal of today's session is to compose a romantic, melancholic cue in the style of sweet animation. We'll focus on chromatic harmony, which connects nicely to the emotion we want to evoke. We won't need much diatonic theory, so I give it a 2 out of 5 on the diatonic side, but interval theory is great for everything chromatic, so I rate it 3 out of 5. Next up is the plan of action. We'll tackle every step and shape the music from the initial idea to the orchestration. Sounds good? Let's roll. I like to begin with a simple idea, and that's why I chose an E-flat major chord for the first 4 bars. This was the initial idea, just basic repetition. Later, to add some variation, I introduced 2 substitute tones in the 3rd bar, and this subtle change already brings in a bit of chromatic movement. That's scale tone 5 going to -6. If we were to place all of this on a scale, the harmonic major scale is a possible choice. However, since I plan to introduce more chromatic lines very soon, I prefer not to use any scale at the moment. Now let's hear this initial idea in action. Four bars of music is not much, so let's extend our idea. And again, repetition is our friend. You'll notice one key difference, though. This bar now features a B major triad. Previously, the harmony was already very close to this chord anyway, so this is almost like musical judo, where one chromatic change can alter the sound drastically. I feel that this small change is enough to extend the piece from 4 bars to 8, and it will keep the listener engaged and interested. In the next step, we add chromatic lines for more movement. The color coding will help you spot the connections. Please take a second and go through the colored lines on your own. You can pause the video right now and continue when you feel ready. Okay, let's move on. In the repetition, I've transposed everything up an octave. Why? I wanted the outer voices to interact more clearly, and the previous step felt a bit low in the register. So this step is mainly for my organization and to clarify what is happening. Now you could analyze each structure vertically, naming them all, but I find that can be unnecessarily complex. Instead, I prefer to focus on the horizontal flow, the movement of the lines. This is what the listener will perceive anyway. One last thing before we listen to this line. I often treat the repetition of an idea as a new starting point. This could lead to a change in the orchestration later. That's why I don't pay much attention to connecting these segments in the sketch. And here's how it sounds. For harmony, we're working with exactly what we created in the previous step, so don't be confused by the octave shift downward in the repetition. This step opened the higher register for a possible melody on top. An easy way to create simple melodies is by relying on chord tones. Here's how it works. Let your first and last note of a musical phrase step on chord tones, and then you fill out the middle with what works best. Also, I like to repeat the musical shapes to create something memorable. Later, I added small variations to keep the listener engaged. You might want to take a second and analyze the melody tones according to their root, and you'll quickly spot the strategy behind my choices. So let's hear how this melody interacts with the harmonic structures before we move on to the orchestration. The orchestration for this piece began with the melody, which I assigned to the first violins. My goal here was to evoke a sense of warmth and charm while keeping up the romantic and melancholic feel. A solo flute would be an excellent choice for doubling the melody if you want to soften the violins. Let's quickly listen to the melody in solo mode before we tackle the full section. For harmony, I started with the double basses, and they play chord tones throughout the whole piece. Most often I went to scale tones 1 or 5, but occasionally I hit scale tone 3 to change the vertical stability. Meanwhile, the cellos, violas, and second violins play a lush harmonic pad made up of only half notes and whole notes. These parts stick very closely to the sketch we worked on earlier with only minor changes, such as flipping some notes to an octave position for better balance. Actually, the harmonic part also works great on its own without the melody, so let's listen to that quickly. Finally, when we combine all the elements, we achieve a nice mood for our scene. Let's hear the full music one last time against the clip.
Every year as the first snow falls, Arthur remembers her laughter. And though she's gone, her warmth remains, and every day feels like a gift.
If you've spent some time with me, you know that I love chromatic lines. Well, you know by now anyway. And if you ever wanted to step into chromatic harmony but needed to know how, I encourage you to start with this scene and score it. You will find all the materials below, so why not give it a try? And if you like these 10-second stories, please stay connected, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. I'm Frank. Have a great rest of your day and see you soon. Bye.